When working with area type objects in Illustrator, it's possible to thread text from one area type object to another so that the text flows between two or more frames. Let's take a look at how this feature works. I'm beginning this video with the threading.ai file already open on my computer. And I'm using some text in here that's using the font called Warnock Pro. And if you don't have that font loaded on your system, feel free to replace it with something like Adobe Garamond Pro to follow along with this video. Now, this particular text is an area type object. So how do I know that? Well, two obvious ways. One is because this adornment on the right is solid, that indicates that it's an area type object. But in addition, you'll notice that the area type object has an import and an outport, which is used to flow text from one frame to the next. So how does this work? Well, you'll notice if I reduce the height of this area type object, that when I make it too small, I get a red plus symbol, which indicates overset text. And that's basically telling me that I have more text than fits within this frame. So you can use either method. I can click on the plus sign, and that will give me my loaded cursor. And now I can click and drag to create a new frame, and now the two are linked together or threaded. So you'll notice if I make this a little bit bigger, now the text flows up there and there's less text in this frame. Now, how do I know they're threaded together? Well, one way is that if I look at these frames, let me zoom in a little bit more, you can see that on this first frame, in the output, I have an arrow indicating the text is flowing out of the frame. And if I click on this frame, you can see I have an arrow indicating the text is flowing into the frame. Now, another great way to see this is by going to the View menu and choosing Show Text Threads. Because now, wherever I move this frame, I'll always have a pointer that's showing me how the text is being linked together. Now, there's a lot of cool things you can do here. So, for example, one of the things that we have in Illustrator is the ability to put type on a path. Now, I'm just going to draw a real basic path here. And I'll change the fill and stroke for a minute. And I'll go to the Type on a Path tool. And I'm going to convert this to Type on a Path. This is where it gets pretty fun, because you'll notice on Type on a Path, I have an import and an output as well. So if I click on the import down here, it's saying, okay, what do you want to link it to? Well, I'm going to go ahead and link it to this text frame above it. And you can see that now the text is being threaded in a different way. And if I make some adjustments here, you'll see that the text is going to flow onto the Type on a Path, which is pretty fun. You can do a lot of interesting things here with flowing your text. Now, if you want to unlink two frames, it's really just a simple matter of clicking on the output or the import of the threaded areas, and then I can click on a linked frame to unlink it. And now you can see that if I click on this frame, we have overset text. And if I open this up, now we are back in business. So you have plenty of control and plenty of adjustments that you can make. Now, I should also point out that when you're working with area type objects, you have additional control. So in the event that you want to create multiple frames or multiple columns, you can select one of your frames and go to the Type menu and choose Area Type Objects. And if you wanted to, we could maybe switch this to a two-column layout, turn your preview on. We now get the added benefit that we can have a single frame with multiple columns still flowing into another frame. So this feature is incredibly flexible, and when you're creating artwork that requires text to flow from one area to another, threading text between multiple area type objects will be a lifesaver for sure.